there, welcome to Season 6, Episode 4, also known as Episode 167 of the Retro Game Club podcast. I'm Hugh, and joining me is someone who keeps falling into pits, Rob.
Yeah, I don't know why, but it just keeps happening. Every time I enter a new room, I just fall into a pit.
Fall into a pit.
Some trench coat guy's chasing me.
Yep.
How's it going?
It's going pretty good. You know, I decided to pre-order the latest Final Fantasy VII remake. I don't remember what the name is.
Rebirth.
Okay. Because I played Final Fantasy VII Remake, which is just Final Fantasy VII, the Midgard level. Mm-hmm. And this is... I don't think it's the rest of the game, is it?
No, there's going to be 3, but this one is clocking in at 90 hours. And it's getting fantastic reviews.
The reviews have been good. That's why I finally decided to just go ahead and pre-order it on like the last day. You can still place a pre-order and expect to get it on launch day. Although again, like a lot of modern games, like, do I really want to start it on launch day, or do I want to wait till the first, 200 gig patch?
That's usually launch day, though.
Yeah. I like Final Fantasy 16, that was one where it's like, well, I want to play this, on the weekend, so it's Tuesday, I better start installing it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, yeah.
That's going to be how... Well, of course, this is coming in, like, on Friday. That's going to be close, yeah. But that's how I pre-ordered that. I expect it'll be pretty good. I did finish Final Fantasy 16, so I'm like, yeah, what the heck, I'll just...
What did you think of that one?
Sooner or later anyways. I mean, overall, I liked it. It's, I put it... If I did a stack ranking of Final Fantasy games, it's somewhere in the middle. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's really hard to say whether I like it better or worse than 15. Like, I like the lead character in 16 a lot better than the lead character in 15. But 15 has a lot more like open world. Like, you can just kind of explore around and, do random, like, just do stuff.
Drive your car to a giant dinosaur and attack.
Yeah, drive your car to like a rest stop. Try and find places to camp, go explore. Like, there's just like, you can go around and explore stuff. In 16, there's really not a lot of exploration. It's a pretty I mean, you can hop around the world map, but there's really not exploration.
This one's all about the summons, right? 16?
Summons, yeah, big kaiju, big battle stuff going on. So it's the last boss is pretty... I'd read some feedback that the last boss was really easy, and the last boss is easier than most of the like mini bosses before then.
Okay. So, I kind of like that in a game where it's like, you came this far, just have some fun with this last boss.
Yeah. I mean, it goes on. The kind of what I would call the mid boss fight is the long. Like, I went to start that, and it was like 2 hours later. I'm like, I'm still fighting this boss, man. This is this is going on way too long. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. I don't know. So what I put in my notes here. Oh wow, this has been a while. Okay, so we were talking about game recommendations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I recommended Nier for you. Yeah.
Yeah, which I still, it's on my, I added to my backlog spreadsheet, so that's a step towards playing it. But I was thinking of like point and click adventure games. And have you ever played the Beavis and Butthead Windows 95 game, Virtual Stupidity?
No, but I saw this in your notes, so I downloaded the ISO. I haven't installed it yet.
Okay, it's a point and click adventure game. Like, the cover, I don't understand. Like, cover really has nothing to do with the game. Mm-hmm. The cover, they're wearing like VR goggles. I don't know why, but I played this, over almost 30 years ago now. Jeez, I'm getting old. And I don't recall VR goggles at all being a part of the game. It's a point and click game like a King's Quest or Monkey Island. Probably more like Monkey Island because I don't think it's possible to die.
Okay.
Or maybe it is. It's just really hard. It certainly wasn't like King's Quest where you're just like, oh, look, there's a pebble on the ground. Do you want to pick it up? And you pick it up, and then like a boulder falls on you or something.
Yeah, yeah.
But then I saw that East 10 is getting a U.S. port this year, about 1 year after the Japanese launch date, which is that's absolutely record time.
Yes.
For an East game to come to America. So I haven't seen pre-orders for that go up yet.
Hopefully they get the translation right the first time this time.
Yeah, they did with East 9.
Mm-hmm.
So, we'll see. There's an older game, from the same developer, Tokyo Xanadu, was got a Switch port recently. And the Switch port of that is also coming to the US. And that's one where it was originally a PlayStation Vita game. And the company that translated it, it's not the company that did East 8, 9, and 10. Their Vita translation was like borderline 8-bit NES quality. Like a winner is you kind of dialogue. It is just bad. And they said, because they still have the publishing rights to it, they're claiming that when they bring the Switch version to the US, it's going to be a new translation. The Vita one, they never fixed. It's just awful. Like you'll play and you're just like, man, how did this get made?
What game is that?
Tokyo Xanadu.
Okay.
You can get this on everything right now.
Yeah,
Here,
yeah.
This is the Vita version. The Vita version is the one with the really awful translation, but it's the same. It's a very similar engine to East 8. Like you would play it and be like, okay, this is East 8, kind of.
A year or two later after East 9, what are your thoughts on it?
It's not my favorite. I mean, East 8 is still my favorite in this series. I'll say that. The thing about 9, and I'll play it again someday. I'll do like New Game Plus on it for sure. Like I like the characters. I kind of overall like the story. I don't like that there isn't an overworld. Like most of the East games have an overworld of some sort that you're exploring. And here there's a couple of sort of small field areas, but most of it is dungeon.
Yeah, prison.
Prison, yeah.
Yeah.
Prison, giant abandoned sewer, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Awful lot of it. It's a really different setting for the series. I mean,
I like that they went different. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, I like that they try different things. Like I don't think it's a bad entry. I think it's better than a lot of the games. I mean, East Origin didn't have an overworld either, and I like that one just fine.
Mm-hmm.
East Origin's just one dungeon.
Yeah, it's pretty much Darm Tower, right?
Pretty much it. Yeah, that's all it is. One giant dungeon.
Yeah. Well, my thought on it is just East 8 was so strong that not it would have had to be one of the best games ever to beat it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It would be very hard. But like in terms of like the development team and writers and stuff, like Tokyo Xanadu is basically the same team. Like there's ads for East 8 in the game.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a kind of different style. It plays a lot like it's sort of a mix between their turn-based series and their action series. So it's it's a really oddball game. I'm gonna be curious to see how the Switch port looks when it gets out here, and whether or not they made the translation like actual English. I did try the East 1 port to Nintendo Switch, which is the PC-88 version. It does look and sound just like the DOS version. It does go a little too far in terms of recreating the authentic experience because like you have to change discs and stuff.
What do you mean?
It has like when you go to the menu, you have a computer with 2 disk drives, right? Mm-hmm. One is the game disc and the other is the save disc. And at some point, I think when you get to Darm Tower, you have to put in disc 2. Because I think the way East 1 was first built is the first half of the game, is on one disc. And when you get to the second half of the game, that's the second disc. And you have to go through, it's like you're using DOSBox, right? You have to go and change discs.
But I mean, why do they do it in a cool way, or is it just annoying?
It's just annoying. But they do have save states too. So it's weird because again, you have 2 virtual disk drives, and one of them is the user disk, right? Your save game. But you don't actually need that because it has save states.
Could you imagine a Zennial playing that? Just yes, they wouldn't even know what a disc is. That's not a rip on them. It's just they wouldn't. Yeah.
No, you've never played. I mean, they're past there where they had multi-disc like video games. Even like Sony PlayStation was the first system you ever owned, right? You've never used a floppy disk, but you've had games where you had to change the CD halfway through.
Yeah, yeah.
My kids have never played a game where they had to change the CD. Like, why would you have to do that? Don't you just install the whole thing on the hard drive?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So that's about it for me. What have you been up to?
Well, I started boxing up a bunch of stuff. We don't have the final papers, but want to get ahead of it. And moving is really, really annoying, and selling stuff is really annoying. And you realize how much stuff you have. I mean, you could see I just have boxes and kind of garbage all around me right now. So trying to get rid of a bunch of stuff. And so if anyone out there collects retro computers, I have a bunch that I'm not going to bring with me. So hit me up.
Yeah, those are really the worst, man.
Oh, man.
I got rid of a lot of that stuff. You know, I know this is off topic, it's nothing to do with gaming, but like a few years ago, we were getting rid of a toddler bed because we don't have toddlers anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife put that on Facebook Market, and she said, you know, what she had heard was when you put something on Facebook Market, basically ignore every inquiry, like every request you get in the first 24 hours because they're all scammers.
Probably, yeah.
And yeah, sure enough, she put that game, you know, put the toddler bed up, and within a minute, you know, there's people like, oh, you know, basically coming up with like weird payment proposals for how they're going to take the bed.
Yeah.
And it's like,
That's why I just don't want to deal with all that. But yeah, it was kind of sad boxing up all my games and stuff because I am going to bring those. So all my 3DS and Xbox and PlayStation games are all boxed up. So from here on out, until we get settled, it's all the Steam Deck and the Analog Pocket. And I, since, you know, the end at this address is coming soon, I canceled all my pre-orders, so I will not have the new Final Fantasy. I actually had to cancel that from Best Buy.
oh, yeah,
But-
that's a rough one.
One thing I forgot that I pre-ordered were those Analog Pocket adapters. Those shipped.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't order all those. I decided I would just get the Game Gear one. The other ones were like a 3-pack. You had to buy 3 at once, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was the deal breaker for me.
I figured I had so many PC Engine games, stuff like that. I might as well, even though I have it, you know, unlocked.
It's PC Engine, Lynx, and Neo Geo Pocket Color. It's the 3 set, right?
Yeah, and I only have one of those.
Yeah, I have one Neo Geo Pocket Color game.
Mm-hmm.
I have probably 20, somewhere between 12 and 20 Lynx games.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the other one? Yeah, TurboGrafx, I don't actually have a ton of chip games. I might only have 10 chip games. I have a lot of CD games, but not chip. I never bought a lot of.
And then I hacked my Vita right before I boxed it up.
Okay,
So there's this new hack where all you do is you could be on any firmware. It doesn't have to be an older one. And on it, you just go to this one website, and then it installs a thing, which installs a thing. And from there, your Vita is hacked to the point where you open up an application and it gives you a list of Vita, PSP, and PS1 games, all of them. And you can download one or all of them, if you know, one or many.
Somewhere
From wherever. And
this is a
it works really well.
Don't ask questions.
Exactly, yeah. It works
It's
too well.
getting it from archive.org, where for some reason they have everything.
Yeah. So I could not recommend that enough. There are YouTube videos on how to do that. So it worked too well. And I think everyone should do that. And I am not confessing to installing any game I didn't already own.
But you could install the bad translation of Tokyo Xanadu then.
Yes, exactly.
The version that's on like PS4 has a slightly better translation, but it's still a little bit wonky at times. Like they've upgraded it at least once. The Vita one though, you get the raw like what decade am I in? It's like ChatGPT translated it.
That's awesome.
It's not even I take that. ChatGPT would have done a better job. This is really like NES quality translation. I can't stress that enough.
That's great. Wow. Maybe I will play that one just for...
But you'll be like, okay, it's you know, a lot like Ys 8, sort of. It's like Ys 8, but set in like 2015 Tokyo. Okay, that's kind of...
Yeah.
And you spend a lot of time in school. It's like Persona-inspired game.
Okay.
You'll probably hate it, but great soundtrack. It's got that going for it.
We'll see. Yeah, I mean, I want to play more games like that, so I probably will play it. But I'll probably play Beavis and Butthead Virtual Stupidity first.
I might. I'm really tempted to play that again myself someday, because I remember I played it when I had a Windows 95 PC, and I remember really getting into it. I remember being a really good game. For some reason, it doesn't have a US PlayStation release. It has a Japanese PlayStation release. Bizarre to me.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't even realize, like, I guess it never occurred to me that Beavis and Butthead was popular in Japan.
Yeah, that seems like a weird translation there.
I mean, it could just be like, hey, look at these dumb Americans. Like, that could be the appeal of it. I know that sort of genre gets popular, and I can understand why.
I'll probably check it out.
All right, we should get on to some of our like topics and stuff.
Yeah, we do have some news.
We got some really weird things running on things.
Yeah,
news.
Some good stuff.
Yeah.
First one's from Retro Dodo. You can run macOS on your Nintendo DS, and this is legit, like 6 point whatever macOS. I think it goes up to 7.1, but it's really slow. Your DS does run the OS at half speed, and the bottom screen is a trackpad and a keyboard. And even though I say it runs at half speed, it's still, faster than a lot of Macs seemed back then. And
but this wouldn't be good for gaming.
No, not really. No, it's just kind of an experiment. And it doesn't require, but it runs much better if you have that RAM expansion card that plugged into the Game Boy port, which I actually didn't know was a thing until recently.
Okay, I think I knew about it. I don't remember, I think I ever looked for one because I don't remember what purpose it served.
I think it was for the web browser.
Oh, okay. Well,
which you don't need it, yeah.
Well, Nintendo of America still has a support article online for it.
Nice.
Yeah, okay, so it says right here, it's for the Nintendo DS browser. You are correct. And there's a original and light version. There's a different version for Nintendo DS Lite.
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, if you want to browse the internet on your DS.
Yeah, it probably doesn't support SSL and all that.
It probably does not, no.
But yeah, kind of a cool experiment. And I thought the next one's kind of a funny article from The Verge. Someone hacked the PlayStation Portal to emulate PSP, because all the Portal does is streams games from your PS5. And so this gives it more of a life than that. My buddy has one of these, and I messed with it. It does work really well. I didn't mess with the PSP hack, but the actual device works really well. It's not really laggy at all.
Yeah, to me, like a new iteration of PS, like if this, I figured these sell for $200. Yeah, if you just told me for $200 I could get a new PSP with a bigger screen, I would just buy that.
Mm-hmm.
PSP is one of my absolute favorite systems.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, here they are running GTA Liberty City Stories on it, it looks like.
Well, the rumor is that for the PlayStation 6, there's going to be, a quote-unquote Vita 2 launching with it. Oh. And so my hot take, this is not going to happen. I'm just saying, like, what a wild world it would be if this happened. If they... So the guess is that it'll be like a PS6 Lite, and it'll be compatible with, PS4 through 6, and probably be digital only. I hate that term, download only.
Yeah, download only, yeah.
And
everything's digital, yeah.
I just thought it would be wild if PlayStation switched from optical to like a Nintendo Switch like cart just to make it like actually compatible, because you're not going to have a disc on a portable system. So I just thought that'd be a funny prediction. That's all.
Yeah.
Not going to happen. But yeah, I thought this was a funny hack. You could play your Grand Theft Auto Liberty City on this.
Yeah, well, I'll just say this, man. PSP is like PlayStation 2 greatest hits, and then some original games that are outstanding on it.
That's why I love the Vita. Yeah. It can play all those games too. You know,
it does. Yeah, so you can play every PSP game on the Vita. I don't know if there's maybe some oddball thing that isn't compatible, but you can download. I've played a few PSP games that were like digital only. I just use that term too. Download only releases on the Vita.
Yeah, it's digital only and Metroidvania. I try to not keep in my vocabulary.
Let's see, the Satellaview F-Zero. Someone has restored the tracks that were exclusive to Satellaview and put them into a standalone Super Nintendo game.
Yeah, they did it by watching YouTube videos and then using AI, which I think is a good use of AI.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to download these. That'd be cool. And then on Hackaday, running Unix on your Nintendo Entertainment System, which not really.
So I kind of saw this one coming because a couple weeks ago, someone ran an article about running Unix on a Commodore 64, which is, again, basically the same CPU. And it took like 24 hours to boot the computer. So wow. I can't imagine, I don't know if they've made any optimizations, but if you could run it on Commodore 64, and that's the thing, if you could run something on Commodore 64, you could probably port it to the NES, although there's half memory. So it's not going to be easy, but a lot of C64 games got ported to NES or had similar code bases.
They did?
Yeah, I'm thinking like some of the there are a couple games I'm thinking of that I believe started as C64 games. Here are some things that I off the top of the internet. Akari Warriors, apparently the NES version was a C64 port. Kung Fu Master, Yair Kung Fu, Blades of Steel.
Really? Blades of Steel? I didn't know that.
Blades of Steel, the internet is saying was a C64 game. Or I got to read this. That doesn't sound right. I think the internet's wrong on this one here. Yeah, it was originally an arcade game that then was downported, but did get in C64.
Okay.
That's not a good one. That's a bad example.
What about Out of This World?
Out of This World was not C64.
Was that Amiga maybe? Okay.
It was well, it had an Amiga version.
Apple IIGS.
Apple IIGS is probably the lowest computer that could have run that.
But this, you need the floppy disk system for the Famicom for this to work too. This Unix.
Yeah.
But I skimmed through the YouTube video, and this guy seems really smart. He was doing a lot of cool stuff with it and explained a lot of what he had to do. So I definitely recommend, if any listeners interested in this stuff, to check that out.
Also, according to the internet, the Maniac Mansion version for NES might have been a C64 port. Okay, that would make sense. I'm gonna be stuck on this all day. Bard's Tale is a game that I was thinking of this whole time, and I couldn't remember.
Oh, okay, yeah. I had that for Apple too.
Ghostbusters.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, because that does make sense too, yeah.
And Ghostbusters is better on C64.
Yeah, well, it's a double the memory.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. I think the next one you put up, right?
Yeah, so this showed up on Oz, as in AustraliaRetroGamer.com. Maybe you can go meet these guys someday.
Yeah.
Play Doom on the Husqvarna Automower. So this is the people. This is not like a hack. This is like the company that makes this lawnmower. I guess it's some sort of. This is a lawnmower, right? With a screen.
That's
And
great.
it's like it's not a riding lawnmower. It's like a lawnmower that like, you program it and it figures out how to mow your lawn, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But it has a little mini screen on it, I guess, to program your lawn mowing. And it says, they have a Doom as a free update. Doom is coming to this little lawnmower.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, it's got to have at least like a Raspberry Pi Zero type system in there.
Oh, I'm sure.
And then
the Husqvarna Automower Nira. Oh man, these things are $3,000. Wow.
Yeah, not worth it.
That's, well, I mean, I think what I pay a landscaper, it would eventually break even, but I wonder if they describe the computer hardware anywhere. Well, I'm going to look this up later so I can find what is actually under the hood. But I mean, this thing is probably running the hardware in it is probably more than Raspberry Pi Zero.
Yeah.
I'm sure. It's AI lawnmower or whatever it does. It's a cool looking gizmo. I want the snowplow version of this, really.
Well, since snowplows throw things, I don't think they'll ever do that. It'll just like people walking by your driveway getting slammed with snow.
Yeah, that would be the dream, though. Really, just, a robot that shovels snow.
Yeah. But instead, we have them doing all the fun stuff. We do have a topic this week, kinda. It's a quick topic.
Quick one, yeah. I just had suggested there was something this week called the Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase, and it featured a lot of like retro or close to retro stuff to talk about. Did you watch the whole thing?
I skimmed through it. There was a ton of games that had nothing to do with me, so I kept bouncing to the next game.
Like where you're a shrunken child running through the backyard. That one.
Yeah, not into it.
Yeah, some odd stuff, but there were. I kind of broke this into 3 categories. So first one here is Wii remakes. So these are games that are on Wii, and either are getting a remake or like a new version. And the Wii, I mean, that came out 2006.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's getting up there.
Yeah.
They're doing Epic Mickey, which I like. Epic Mickey is a fun game.
I never played that, so I'll probably play this remake.
Okay. Yeah, Epic Mickey's I'd recommend. And then World of Goo 2. I never played this first game, though.
I think people liked it. People always wanted
I think so, too, yeah. And I think that was like a Wii exclusive for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then I think what's probably the most interesting news, at least if you're listening to this podcast, is the Rare, as in the publisher, Rare games coming to Switch Online. And they're hitting all 3 of the big platforms, Super Nintendo, NES, N64.
I think it's interesting because Xbox just had we're not going to stop making consoles, but we are going to start releasing our games on other consoles podcast. And that was just like a week ago. And Xbox owns Rare. And so this is kind of a big deal. And it seems like a no-brainer, right?
It does, yeah. I mean, there's really, I don't know what other options they have other than just sitting on this IP forever.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I don't think you're gonna. Yeah, well, I mean, I guess you could run these on Xbox, but it's interesting. I'll just say that. So on the Super Nintendo side, Killer Instinct and Battletoads in Battle Maniacs.
Both games I do not like. I'm sorry. I for the record, I played all of these games this week.
Okay. Yeah, I don't care for these either. Killer Instinct looks really nice. But I didn't care for it as a fighting game. I know it was a big deal to a lot of people, but I wasn't huge into it. I haven't played any of the Battletoads games too much.
This game is horrible.
Okay.
It's pretty simple for a Battletoads game, and it plays worse than Double Dragon. It's not as good. There's nothing horrible about it. It just seems kind of like shovelware.
Okay.
If it was an NES game, I would say it would be very impressive, but it looks kind of in the middle of NES and Super Nintendo. And Killer Instinct, I thought played worse than like Primal Rage. It just didn't seem that great.
Okay.
Specifically the Super Nintendo version.
Yeah, I mean the arcade version I have played a little bit too. Yeah, just not a big one.
And then
But the other releases, the releases do get better. On the NES, it's RC Pro-Am and Snake Rattle and Roll.
pretty good games. I grew up with RC Pro-Am. I think it's fantastic. How about you?
Oh yeah, it's a really good game. I did not own it back in the day, but I think it's a good game.
Yeah, it was an early game for me. I had that one. I never got the sequel. In fact, I didn't know there was a sequel until I started retro collecting.
Yeah, that's a game with some serious longevity too, man. That was on the store shelves for a long time. I think it was a pretty consistent seller for quite a while.
How about Snake Rattle and Roll for you?
Played that a long time ago. I like it. I mean, visually it's Marble Madness, but it's, I think, kind of a little deeper game.
Yeah, it has a isometric with the D-pad is always weird, right?
Yeah.
I thought it was great. I remember renting it on a weekend back in the day and not being sad about it, having fun with it.
Yeah, there's also a Sega Genesis version, and there's the Genesis Online thing, so I don't know why we got the NES version, but I don't really care. It's not a game where the 16-bit upgrade is necessarily a huge difference.
Yeah, kind of like Gauntlet, where it's pretty much the same.
Then N64, Blast Core.
What do you think of this one?
I actually didn't play this. I only saw it in the Nintendo Direct and said, "Oh, that looks kind of cool."
I love this game. This was the first game I bought used for Nintendo 64.
Okay.
I probably, traded some now ridiculously expensive Nintendo games for it for like 3 pennies at Funkoland. And it's a great game. It's really fun. People say it didn't age well. I kind of disagree. I think it's a really fun game.
Yeah, I think I'll play that this week.
It feels like a Sega arcade game.
All right. That's a good endorsement.
Yeah. What else do we have?
And then series that are 20 years old and still getting re-releases. So I was kind of shocked both of these are 20 years old, but I did the math on them. Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection. So this game is 20 years old, and this is a package of the games now in Switch form.
Yeah, I was never into these. At this time, I was into the Galactic Battlegrounds tactical games.
Okay.
Which now we will have to replay, because I totally forgot about those until this.
Yeah, this is one of the more expensive things. This is like, I'm looking at the Nintendo store right now. It's like $30 for this game. Compared to the other things we talked about are mostly free. I don't know how much Epic Mickey will be yet. That's probably in the same price range though, but you know what? I guess that's fair for.
Yeah, you get a few games.
Yeah, you get Star Wars Battlefront with bonus map Jabba's Palace, and then Battlefront 2 with bonus maps Bespin, Renvar. What's Renvar?
I don't know.
Yavin 4.
Yeah, that's an easy one.
Okay. 64-player online support.
That's pretty cool.
No.
Now I have there's always humble bundles with like every Star Wars game for $18. So I have all of these on Steam.
Yeah.
And Monkey Ball.
And a new Monkey Ball game, a proper Monkey Ball game. There have been other Monkey Ball games recently, but they were like, I have like a Monkey Ball party game or something weird like that. It's like trying to be Mario Party, but with Monkey Ball.
Tactical Monkey Ball.
Tactical Monkey Ball. Super Monkey Ball RPG. Super Monkey Ball Golf.
Yeah.
Super Monkey Ball Farming Simulator.
Yeah. Doctor Surgeon Simulator. Yeah.
Yeah. This is the first proper Monkey Ball game in, you estimated 10 years. I think that's right.
Mm-hmm. Are you a Monkey Ball fan?
Yeah, I mean, I'm absolutely awful at Monkey Ball, but I really like the game. I like the visuals. I like the music. I like the premise. I enjoy them. I'm just total garbage at them.
I've really only played them in the arcade. I think I own the GameCube one back in the day, but Yeah, it's one of those games that's like, yeah, it's fun in the arcade for a few minutes. The reviews I've been hearing lately about other Monkey Ball games that came out for the Wii and stuff like that were,
Yeah, you want to pass on those.
oh, yeah, they added bosses, they added jumping and stuff like that. And I guess this one adds a speed dash, which might be a good compromise with that. Like, they get rid of the other stuff people didn't like, but there's speed dash.
Yeah, I mean, Monkey Ball is basically like the most Dreamcast game that's not on the Dreamcast.
Yeah, you're pretty much playing marbles, you know. But yeah, I'm surprised that must have been a they started working on it for the Dreamcast, and then it just went to GameCube. Sure. Yeah. And yeah, that is the topic. I think I don't know. I'm probably most excited to have RC Pro-Am, really, in Blast Corps.
Okay. Yeah, that's me. Epic Mickey's the one I'm most excited about.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to play that one. I'll probably try to play that one with my kids too.
Yeah, it's pretty easy. It's it's a 3D platformer, and it's not very difficult.
You played the original?
Yeah, I played it on Wii. My youngest kid was a big fan of that game.
We got some Game Club. Should I start?
You should, yeah. Yeah, let's get yours first.
Yeah, I did Super Mario 64. And this time I actually did beat it today. I played it on and off for the past many days. And I just beat it with 70 stars. I didn't go crazy on it. And this game for me, I remember the first time I played it, those slimy Nintendo 64 controllers at a kiosk before it came out. And I just couldn't believe it. They finally got 3D right. They sorted it out, and it was perfect. I'll get back to that last line in a minute. And at the time, I thought I hacked Toys R Us because my buddy and I, 2 days before it was supposed to be released, somehow we were able to edit our receipts. I don't know if it was just easy with a pencil or something, but the clerk was just like, yeah, sure, here you go. And we got ours early, and I was like, oh my God, it worked. And
you mean like the receipt had a do not sell until this date?
It was a pre-order receipt, yeah. And so, you're supposed to show up on the day, the certain day, whatever it was, September 29th, 1996. And we showed up 2 days early, and we were able to buy it. But it turns out that...
It turns out the clerk just didn't care.
Every clerk didn't care. I guess, people heard a few Toys R Us were selling it early, and everyone just started selling it early. We just happened to not know that and thought we hacked the planet. And brought it home, and no one saw me for a long time because that's all I did is play that game for the longest time, even though it was, pretty much one of two games available for the system. And I personally think it holds up great. That's probably some nostalgia in there. I think it's weird and funny that the menus are literally the default Silicon Graphics textures.
Yes, yeah.
Like, they didn't change a thing. I used to think Bowser was easy. I don't think he's easy anymore. Today, my kids saw me very frustrated on my Switch trying to beat him. Took me a long time to get the aiming right on to throw him on the bombs, And it was when I got the last star where I was really getting frustrated with the camera. I kind of wish with the 3D All-Stars that the Switch released, which is what I played it on, they could have updated that. They had the ability. Come on. I think the music in this is great. I think the graphics are charming. I do think they hold up. There's not much I don't like about this game other than the camera. And if I had to rank 3D Mario games, here is probably my very unpopular opinion. From best to worst, it'd be Odyssey, and then Galaxy. I didn't play Galaxy 2. 64, Sunshine, 3D Land, 3D World. And even in that order, I think Mario 64 is among the best platformers ever. You know, I think it aged far better than PS1 3D games. And we'll probably talk about this later, but I know the 64 wasn't that much more powerful than the PS1, but to me, it felt more powerful. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But so, yeah, I just really love this game. And I think even if I played it for the first time today, I would really like it. I wouldn't love it. I wouldn't have the nostalgia, but I would really like it. And I can't imagine another game having the effect on people, meaning, you know, when I was a teenager, I think I was 18 at the time, seeing them get 3D right for the first time. Like that was an event, you know, and I can't think about what a video game can do that would be that big of a leap where this generation would say, oh my God, this is crazy. I can't believe they did this. I'm sure there is something. Since I put this on our game club list, I've been trying to think of that thing, and I really can't, you know?
Yeah, I'd have to I haven't really done a lot of VR headset stuff, but it would have to be something like a VR game that was actually like, I'm hesitant to say because I don't know how good VR.
Yeah, I mean, Vader Immortal does a great job of like getting you into Star Wars. Like you are in Star Wars, and
I've never even heard of that. So it has not achieved its goal of being a groundbreaking game.
It is amazing, but still, not the effect that this had on me. But you're right. It would probably be like VR or what's the other one where you see the rest of the world? Oh my God, people are probably screaming at their
AR. You mean?
Yeah, AR.
Reality?
Yes, AR.
But like the Pokemon Go game kind of did that already.
Like, I mean, AR
that was like the first, but that was the first like AR game where you're like, okay, AR is a real thing that works.
I mean, like headset AR where you could like see through it and all that stuff. Yeah. But I don't know. We'll see. I guess GTA. You have GTA listed in there. I think GTA was pretty close with that, where it's like, oh, I could find. There's finally a video game where I could do literally anything.
Yeah. GTA was the first game to get like open world, right? Because Mario 64 is still very much level based.
Yeah, it's hubs. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas GTA 3, it's just like, you know, here's a city, or I guess in GTA 3, here's a third of a city. You know, go do whatever you feel like.
Exactly. Yeah, and also, I mean, the fact that they made it where your lives don't matter in Mario 64, I think was a really good idea. Like they probably should have just gotten lives out of it. You know, it doesn't matter. If you run out, they give you 3 more. But what do you think of this game?
Yeah, so I mentioned GTA 3 because I have my and this is going to be an unpopular opinion. But, you know, my view of Mario 64 is kind of similar to my view of GTA 3, where like, okay, this is a really great game, and I understand why this is a groundbreaking game, but I played other games in the series first, and it's really hard for me to get into the original game. Like I have tried, this will be the, I think, 3rd time I've tried Mario 64. I've tried GTA 3 twice so far, like new game, tried to get into this, tried it on, you know, tried the PS2 version, tried the Bizarro recent remake. I don't know if you ever played those GTA remakes.
Yeah.
They are something. I wrote an article about them. They're just so janky and weird. I don't have time on this podcast to describe what's going on in those games. But I'm just like, yeah, this game's kind of cool, but I'd really rather play Vice City, or I'd rather play GTA 5. Because they're the same game, but they do everything like way better. And Mario 64, it's like I start playing it, I'm like, I think I'd rather go play Mario 3D World. Right? Because I just like it better. Like it controls a little better, the camera works better, controls work a little bit better. So this one, I fired up the Switch 3D Mario Collection. I also bought that. I know the N64 version is on Switch, and I'm sure they're the same game. The Switch 3D Mario Collection fixes the button mappings in the in-game help. That's maybe the biggest thing it does. So like when you read a sign that tells you how to jump or slide or whatever, it's telling you the switch buttons. You don't have to like go and figure out, wait, which button am I using? So that's right. So that part's good. But yeah, I only played through a couple stages, and then I'm like, yeah, I think I can go play Power Wash Simulator, which is what I played through a few more stages of Power Wash Simulator afterwards.
It's a surprisingly good game, huh?
Power Wash Simulator it's almost in my top 10 games of all time at this point.
That's amazing.
I have logged so many hours on Power Wash Simulator. My family makes fun of me every time because with the Switch, it pops on. You can see what your friends are playing, and like literally my only friends on the Switch are my kids, and they make so much fun of me every time they see Power Wash Simulator pop up. I get a text from my kid in college making fun of me for playing Power Wash Simulator again. But anyhow, that's kind of it. So I got through a couple levels, and I'm like, yeah, I think I'm gonna play a different game. And maybe a different 3D Mario game. And I completely get that this is a great game, and definitely was the first, game to get when I think of it compared to the first like 4 years of PlayStation games, it's not even close. I know it came 2 years after. Well, it came out about a year after the PlayStation, right?
About a year, yeah.
Yeah, I bought
in the
Nintendo
US,
60,
yeah.
I bought the Nintendo 64 at the end of 1999. Didn't really play it till like the beginning of this century. And then I played like Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask and Donkey Kong 64 all before I played Mario 64. So at that point, I'm like, okay, yeah, it's neat, but these other games really are just better. I mean, Ocarina of Time is a better 3D environment than Mario 64, I think. And that's not a knock on Mario 64. It's just when you play some of these games out of order, it's just like, I think if the first Pac-Man game you ever played was Miss Pac-Man, you would probably not like Pac-Man very much.
I think that is the first Pac-Man game I played, and I think you're right. I do like Miss Pac-Man so much better. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's just kind of what it is for me. It's not always the case. Like if you play Donkey Kong Jr. first, you'll probably still like the original Donkey Kong better.
Yeah.
Donkey Kong Jr. isn't a bad game, but I think most people prefer the original. But here, it's an evolutionary thing. When you played a later evolution of this style of game, going back to the roots can be kind of hard.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So interesting. But yeah, it was a good excuse to fire up the Switch 3D Mario Collection, which I, bought and then my kids borrowed from me, and I haven't played myself yet.
Oh, I'm glad you have that back because it's a very expensive cartridge now.
Yeah, it wasn't when I pre-ordered it, but
exactly. Yeah. How about your game?
So I did E.T. for 2600 because it's been a long time since I played it. Wanted to try it again. I actually played the fixed version. I did not play the original. I played the fixed one. Okay, that's very important, which is why my opinion I think is more positive than yours. So like I said, the original's kind of. I mean, yeah, it's a clunky game. It is far from being the worst 2600 game. I mean, there are games I can't say the titles of on this podcast that are definitely worse. And there are mainstream games that are worse. There's just some awful things. The fixed version is actually a fun game.
What do they fix?
So everything that you can complain about in the game. So there's no like falling into pits when you enter a screen for the first time.
Okay.
The detective guys do not chase you like all the time. Yeah, so the bugs they fix are called general run, walk, hover mechanics. Falling fixes, they fix the collision detection. So falling in pits, your feet have to touch the pit, not your head.
Okay.
Right? Because right now, any part of ET touches the pit you fall in. And here they change the collision box so it's the feet, like you're stepping into the pit.
And I hate how the guys could just walk right over them too. That's not fair.
That's fixed. There's some bug where the ship can crush Elliot at the end.
I did not know that.
Yeah, you have to make it to the end, which of course is not an easy thing. But it just generally just plays like a normal game now. It's like, okay, well, I'm not falling into pits all the time. These guys that are chasing me, I can outrun them easily. You can just kind of play it casually. You don't constantly feel like you're in danger. Again, it's huge difficulty adjustment they made. Again, I don't think it would have mattered. I think the 2600 was already in pretty bad shape by the time it came out. I don't think ET was responsible for killing the system. In terms of playing it, you definitely do have to read the manual. So, like, you couldn't do it on the 2600, but this game would so benefit from having like a tutorial mode.
I agree. Yeah.
Like, oh, you're on this type of screen. So if you press the button, this thing happens. Because you have to know the icons in the screen at the top corner to know what you can do on that screen. So I think people are frustrated because, the average 2600 game, you just plug it in, you press start, and you're playing it. You don't even have to think about what you're doing. So that's fine. It's I feel like it's a little bit inspired by Adventure because of the way it like shuffles the items and stuff into the items and zones around the map. The zone concept is by far like the most confusing thing to understand.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's definitely a confusing thing. And then I watched the speed run because it's only like a minute long. The no RNG manipulation, any %, hard difficulty, 59 seconds and 290 milliseconds.
Wow.
Yeah. And most of it is him just waiting in a pit for like some reason. I don't really understand the full like what he's doing in this, but it involves waiting in the pit until like ET's health reaches a certain level.
And then he can just run around.
You run around for a second and then the game's over. What did you think of ET for Atari 2600?
Well, I own this on the 2600 when I was a kid, and I played it a lot.
I have a fancy boxed copy in like a sealed like protective case.
Nice.
Because I went to an estate sale where the person had an ET shrine in their house.
Like, what else is there?
Everything. There was like, they had like a guest room that was not a guest room anymore.
It was ET's room?
It was a guest room. It was every piece of ET merchandise you could name in that room.
Wow.
Along with this boxed copy of ET in a sealed protective case that I bought for $7.
You didn't buy any other ET things there?
No. Why? What would I do with any of it?
I think you need a life-size ET statue or something.
There was nothing at all. I don't really. Here's the thing. Like, maybe I'm a bad Gen Xer for saying this. I didn't really like ET that much.
It's a divorce movie. It's a sad divorce movie.
Yeah. I did not. I didn't like it. Sorry. Sorry, fellow Gen Xers. I thought it was
a pretty movie. It's a good looking movie.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, there's some funny bits, I guess.
It has its moments, yeah.
I like that the kid who played Elliot just does like horror movies or horror series on Netflix now.
I know.
I like that. I do, man. He's that series that he's on. I don't know if you saw the latest installment, man. It is brutal. No.
But this game, I tried it again. I read the manual. I even listened to the audiobook of the guy who programmed it, and that was actually a fun listen. The guy seems he might be a little bit crazy, but I'm not saying that in a bad way. Mm-hmm. I did not play the fixed version.
Okay.
And I just want to say objectively, it's a bad game. Because I mean, he had 5 weeks or whatever to code it. Yeah. It's not his fault. But sometimes I'm an ET apologist, but again, it's a bad game. There's other bad games out there, and we don't give them, that they didn't have enough time to code also, but we don't give them a pass all the time. And
yeah. Like I think you talked to Burger Becky a while ago. Like Doom for 3DO was one of those.
Yeah, she had like a few weeks to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was probably severely underpaid even for that. And the sound and graphics are very impressive, especially the title screen. I mean, that might be the best title screen on the 2600. I can't think of a better one right now.
Yeah, I mean, I can with the music and the graphics. Mm-hmm. Sure.
Yeah. I put in here in my notes. What did I put? When you enter a new screen, the character placement is just like horrible. You immediately fall. It's just enraging. The scientists and the FBI agents look really good, almost SNES quality. Actually, I would say NES quality. But again, when you enter a screen, even if they weren't close to you, they immediately enter the screen too.
Yeah, that's the fixed version. I never really noticed that.
Okay.
And you can outrun them. You can you can outrun them because you're not worried about falling into pits constantly.
Yeah, that's the thing.
So it's super easy to get away from them in the fixed version.
And I think a fun project, if I ever wanted to teach myself Unreal Engine, would be to remake this game exactly as it is, but as like a third-person ET game. Exactly the same size. That's all. But yeah, there are worse games.
That's a takedown letter pending project though.
I would never release it.
Yeah, just as a fun thing, a game that only you own.
Yeah, it'd be on like my resume or something. Maybe a YouTube video of it or something.
Yeah, I was thinking that like that Haunted House remake. Like I never understood how to play Haunted House until I played that remake that's on Atari 50.
Yeah, they did a great job with that.
If they could do that for ET, where it looked like that and like explained what it is you're doing in ET.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's a good game.
Well, what are you going to play next?
I'm going to play Super Mario Brothers, a game we have never talked about on the show before.
I can't believe it. Yeah,
Super Mario Brothers. It's on next on my list. I suspect what I'm going to try and do is play through the whole thing on the Super Mario All-Stars version.
Okay.
Because I think that's what I'm in the mood for. But any version, I think there's probably like a GBA version and original, whatever you want to play original Super Mario Brothers on. I don't care.
Yeah. I'll probably play on the Switch, I think. But I don't know which version. Yeah.
I'll play the Super Mario Stars version on the Switch, even though I have Super Mario All-Stars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, same. Well, I mean, all my stuff is boxed up.
Yeah, you don't have a choice. And what are you going to play?
I'm going to play a game most people have not heard of, Castle of Shikigami, for PS2, Xbox, and Windows. It's on Steam. It is a fun shooter that has a fun mechanic and I think it's one of the prettiest games ever made. And it's a game I've kind of been saving, but it plays really well on Switch. Okay. And if you happen to be in a Japanese arcade, it's probably there too. But
yeah, we're getting a Japanese arcade not too far from me.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, they bought like an abandoned Sears store because there's a lot of abandoned Sears in the area. There's a high concentration of Sears in the Chicago area. Yeah. Sears was headquartered out here. And a high concentration of abandoned Sears Kmart stores. And one of them is being converted to like they literally are calling it like a Japanese gaming center, like bowling alley and arcade and that kind of stuff.
Cool. Nice.
Yeah.
Maybe it's round one. I know our round one around here has a big Japanese section.
No, that's not the name that I remember.
Okay. All right. Well,
but this I'll probably watch a playthrough of. I don't know if I kind of garbage shooters, so I think I will watch a playthrough.
Oh, I'm horrible at this game.
Yeah.
Horrible. But you get unlimited continues on Steam, so. But we got some great feedback this episode. I'll do the first one. Brian G.
One line, okay.
What?
Because it's only one line. I know it's the best time.
Yeah. Brian G wanted to let us know that he does get to the end of each episode, and that he also loved Impossible Mission on the C64, definitely one of his favorites. And he thinks one of his friends even managed to win it, even though he didn't. And he loves the synthesized voice as well. The stay a while, stay forever.
Okay. Majors wrote in to talk about a couple recent things we did. I didn't realize we put this episode out, so I'm glad to know we did. The GameWorks launch party video. I thought that was still in our queue of things going out later. But that was a fun episode. I just want to say that was a really fun thing to watch.
Mm-hmm.
But anyhow, it's late MTV youth in a nutshell. The video of GameWorks shows off that with a lot of cash spent. With a lot of cash, you can get the biggest arcade games available at the time. Mm-hmm. He really liked the 8-player Indy 500 setup and thought it was funny that Frogger and Miss Pac-Man were considered old games or classics back then. Yeah. Zillion, did we mention that the Sega light gun looks exactly like the Zillion gun?
Oh, I don't think we mentioned that.
Yeah,
but that's true.
It is true. Yeah, I thought that too, because it's not a light gun game. It's just they're plugging their zapper in an unrelated game.
Mm-hmm.
Did we talk about 6-player X-Men on Saturn? I don't remember now.
Feel like we did.
Okay. But he mentions if you upgrade, he said he recently upgraded the SD card on his ODE Saturn. And the Pseudo Saturn Kai project adds support for loader that replaces the old Army EMU. And then you don't need the cartridge to play some of the features like 6-player mode.
Oh, cool.
I got that right. We put this on somewhere else in our show notes before, but he's also recommending another show called Arcade Animals.
I forget this one.
We've mentioned, we didn't watch it, but I think we had put it in as a possible future thing to watch, and he sends a link to a couple episodes.
Cool.
When is this from? It's got a Kickstarter behind it, so it looks, I guess it's a fairly new show. It's interesting. Moving to I didn't read the second half here. Oh, SimCity 40th anniversary. He has a SimCity story back in high school. He brought a copy of SimCity for Mac to use in the computer lab since he didn't have a computer at home. I remember having to manually copy pages from the copy protection during chemistry class, just in case we lost the original pages. Oh. If my kid was doing that, I would. That chemistry grade is one of her worst. No, chemistry's okay. Chemistry's your kids aren't old enough for this, but like when they get to like high school chemistry and math and they come looking for help, man, that is.
Oh, I can't imagine.
It is hard. Yeah. I'm like, oh wait, how much chemistry do I remember now? Not as much as I thought I did.
Yeah.
Panzer Dragoon Saga from the Funcoland price list. He mentions he was at Babbage's. They only ever got one copy, and it was a pre-order for the customer. So it was very hard to get when it was new. I was out of the game store by the time Panzer Dragoon Saga launched, I believe. So I usually read the emails in advance, but I guess I didn't get through this one all the way first. So the interesting thing about having, DVDs and having the media forever is that he brings up a great point, which is that most computers now don't come with DVD players anymore.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was actually planning to build a new computer this year, although I've been saying that for like 3 years in a row now, and I just keep not doing it. I actually went to the like PC part builder or whatever, PC part pickers at the site. I actually went through that in Newegg and had them, made 2 lists of what I think I'm going to build. I just have to actually do it, I guess. But anyhow, yeah, no, I don't have a DVD drive. I mean, I do in my current computer. I'm not in my next one. So that is kind of the interesting thing. The thing about DVD though is like, for me, I just rip them to an ISO image, and a hard drive is so cheap right now. I have
also,
a 6 terabyte hard drive that I paid next to nothing for.
You could get a USB DVD drive for like $20 if you ever needed one.
Yeah, I just, by coincidence, a friend of mine just bought one of those because he has a computer with no DVD drive, and those are weird because like basically has like a toggle switch on it where it can either work like a DVD drive or it mounts as like a USB stick.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, so you plug it in the computer and you're basically viewing the content. So like it's a data disc, I guess you can do that rather than playing it as a DVD. It was kind of a neat. I'm like, oh, that's actually kind of a cool feature. I would have liked that in the, I got to get one of those for myself. The biggest advantage we brought with PCFX is the language barrier. Big problem. All right, so well, thank you for the email. And I'm looking at this thumbnail image. I've never seen our thumbnail images this big before.
Yeah, I'm glad Zach does those.
I get the next one from Gamma. Is it Gamatroid or Gamatroid?
I'm going
to say Gamatroid.
I'll say Gamatroid.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just want to write and say he's always been very big fan of the podcast, which Glad to hear. So we talked about Mission Impossible and Zillion. He tried Mission Impossible on the 7800 and Master System and Zillion, and he can't believe that even though he covers retro games regularly and played new ones all the time, he's never seen either of these before. So that's cool. Glad he found a new game from this.
Yeah.
And I also noticed that these games had a lot of very, very similar elements. Mission Impossible is very interesting, but seems like it would be difficult to actually complete a level. That was my experience with it too.
Yeah.
Zillion, a very similar game, but he liked the graphics and shooting aspects more than in Mission Impossible. Still seems rather difficult as you have to remember all the codes or write them down, and if you mess one up, you lose the ID card. Yep. That is the frustrating part.
Yep. I'm pretty sure that happened to me.
It did, yeah. Phil, aka the No Swear Gamer, I'd recommend his YouTube channel if you have YouTube. Covers a lot. He does a lot of Intellivision reviews. He reviews a lot of Intellivision games. He does a lot of things that are like not, I won't say underground, but he's not like, hey, let's play Super Mario Brothers. He covers a lot of like interesting games that you don't see a lot of reviews for. And he says, Mission Impossible, great game. He grew up playing it on the Atari 7800, not knowing that version was truly impossible due to a bug in the North American release that would hide some necessary puzzle pieces under unsearchable objects.
Oh my God.
It wasn't until I got the C64 joystick plug and play that he finally finished it. Yeah. I think we forgot to talk about that in the show, but I knew that the Atari 700 version was actually not winnable.
That's so sad.
Yeah, because I think you don't even know until like really late in the game. As for ET, he says the pits can be frustrating, but there's a learning curve. He says he legit enjoys the 2600 ET and never viewed it as a bad game. By 2600 standards, something you said, it has one of the best title screens with great music.
Yeah.
And it has Easter eggs, with both Indiana Jones and Yar being hidden in the game.
I don't know if I found those.
I did not. I have to look up how to find them. I forgot about that.
And then also Adam writes in, he was 14 years old in 95 when he was reading about the Ultra 64 coming out in Next Gen magazine. And he was just so excited to get into, the successor of the Super Nintendo. And, the headline saying that it was going to have RAM bus technology with up to 500 megahertz and, boosting SGI's hardware. And, this is me, not Adam saying this, but oh man, RAM bus, that did not work out. It's actually more latent, and I think they got sued to hell. And yeah. But the official statement was the ability of our technology to generate affordable, high performance bandwidth is a major step, allowing consumers to play the kind of 3D worlds that have previously been seen only in high-end graphic workstations, which that's what I wanted the Nintendo 64 to be in. Yeah, that didn't quite work out, but that was the president of Rambus. And the Ultra 64 release stats were, before it came out, were 100,000 real-time texture map polygons, real-time anti-aliasing, ray tracing, trilinear bitmap interpolation. I can't believe I said that right. And real-time load management, which I don't know if I know what that is, but yeah, if I remember right, wasn't the Nintendo 64 only like 30,000 polygons a second when it was released?
Something like that, yeah. I mean, that's still a lot of polygons.
Yeah. But, yeah, when he got, he was extremely hyped for the Ultra 64, and the August 1996 issue had Mario from Super Mario 64 on the cover, and it exclaimed in bold writing, "The greatest game of all time," which that could be argued to this day, I think. And another article in there had reasons for success and reasons why it would fail. And the big ones for success were Nintendo's first-party development team, serious business muscle, where they had $4 billion cash in the bank and a lot of experience. Revolutionary controller, I guess you could call it that. Cartridges had some advantages over CDs, and 4 controller parts. And then why it would fail.
hold on, real quick. That cash in the bank is a big deal because there was an article, like it was a couple months ago, where it leaked that Microsoft had explored buying Nintendo, which I think we're all glad didn't happen. And that was like the biggest issue, is that Nintendo has because when you acquire a company, you have to buy their cash.
Oh.
Most companies don't have like $4 billion cash reserves. So it means the price of Nintendo, the minimum, like if you pay $0 for Nintendo IP, it's $4 billion.
Yeah.
If the Nintendo loses their mind and says you can have Mario and Zelda and Metroid and Pokemon IP for $0,
it's $4 billion.
$4 billion is just the starting. That's the starting price for buying Nintendo because of all the cash they hoard.
And the reasons it could fail is it's just too late, it's too expensive, quantity over quality, far fewer games for 64, and third parties scared of Nintendo
cheating. With cartridges. The way Nintendo would fleece people on cartridge prices.
Okay, yeah.
That's what they mean.
The high cost of games, so $70 or $80 for the carts, and games aren't really portable because you have to write them for the Nintendo 64 system and cart. And you know what? Like, really, all of those reasons were true. In fact, some of the reasons that it was successful was reasons why it wasn't.
Yeah. It's just funny looking back when you're comparing it to like, will it be as successful as the Saturn? And like the Saturn was off the shelves within 2 months of Nintendo 64 launching.
Yeah. And then the article for Mario 64 in that issue said, forget everything you've ever known about video games. Super Mario 64 sets a new standard in gameplay, graphics, and level design, while M2 or PlayStation-style dinosaur demos might serve to show off sheer technical prowess of the Nintendo 64. Super Mario 64 is the real deal, which, yeah, absolutely. That's how I felt, too, when I played it at Toys R Us. I couldn't believe it existed. And he remembers being so excited Christmas Day getting it. He felt that they actually delivered on what he read, and he enjoyed the game immensely and still holds it as one of his favorite gaming memories. And me too. He recently played it again for the first time in 20 years on the Switch with the Nintendo 64 Online controller and found it to be the same great game as he remembers. Still fond of the Nintendo 64 controller. Enjoy doing the backflips and moving around the analog stick. Kids today don't really understand what it was like to experience that for the first time. And yeah, that's pretty much what we said too. And I totally agree. And those Nintendo 64 online controllers are impossible to get. And I just happened to be at a resale shop and they had one used, but it was pretty much new.
You mean the ones you have to buy like from Nintendo that they put up for sale? Like,
yeah, and they're gone in 2 seconds.
Instantly.
Yeah.
I just don't play enough of the Nintendo 64 online to justify getting one of those.
Yeah, I saw it in the store and I picked it up because he was selling it for the retail price. So I was like, why not?
And like retro, who's the one I like? 8-Bit Dio. They haven't made like a good imitation one yet?
Not really, no. But yeah, Adam, Phil, Gomatroid, Majors, and Brian, thank you all for those emails. And if anyone else wants to email us, email at retrogameclub.net. If you play, what do we have now? Super Mario Brothers, Castle Shikigami, which I really hope some of you try to play, even though it's not the easiest.
I will watch the speed run or 100% playthrough. E.T.,
Super Mario 64, any of the new Nintendo Online games, including Epic Mickey, which isn't online, please email us. Email at retrogameclub.net. That is email at retrogameclub.net. I hope some of you try those Satellaview F-Zero levels too. Let us know if those are any good, because I won't be able to download those for a while. But I do want to try them. And we do have some social media this week too.
Yeah. Hold on, I'm looking at the 8-Bit Dio store, and I don't curse these people. I have this imitation Super Nintendo controller that they made, but it works with Switch. It's got like analog sticks and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's a good controller.
Yeah, it's a good controller, but now they have it with transparent plastic, like from the 90s.
Oh, you need that.
Yeah, like this is a green one. Like I have a transparent plastic Nintendo 64 Donkey Kong controller. and they have that same color now, but for this controller I already own, and I'm like, maybe I will buy that for $45, even though I literally have this already, but just with different plastic.
Your life will not be complete without it.
It's so hard for me not to buy this controller that I 100% do not need.
But it's pretty.
I can't, like, I'm going to have to close the browser here because it's the exact color and transparent plastic I like. They also have this really cool giant arcade stick that if they have it for Xbox, they don't have it for PS5, which is too bad because I would prefer a giant joystick. But whatever.
Social media feedback. Retro games you completed the most. Let's see. We got on Genesis, Jurassic Park, and Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Atari Adventure, Shinobi 3, River City Ransom. What else? Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 for the NES, that's the Atari one, right? Or not Atari, sorry. That's the arcade one, right?
Yeah.
Yep. That's a great game. Deus Ex, which I've never played Deus Ex. It's on my list. I own it. I will play it. Half-Life 2, which is a game I won't play because I always get nauseous. And then I threw mine in there, Bonk's Adventure or Super Mario Brothers 3. What do you think yours is?
Retro game completed the most.
East 1 and 2 I beat at least once a year too.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I play through Metroid at least once a year, if not
same.
more.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, Metroid is at least a once a year game. Original Legend of Zelda is probably one. Like, just some night I'll just be like, I think I'll play through Legend of Zelda because you can get, I'm not a speed runner, but you can beat the first Legend of Zelda like an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
If you have played it enough and memorized where all the stuff is.
Mm-hmm.
But Metroid's one I pretty often, because that's a 45-minute hour playthrough if you know what you're doing. If you just go do the two bosses and finish it,
Back then it would take way longer.
Yeah, but I mean, those would be pretty high on my list just because I play those so often.
Mm-hmm.
And have Super Mario 2 I've played through 1,000 times. It feels like.
Yeah, that one too. Yeah, I have beat that one a lot.
Yeah, I did that one a lot. Trying to think if there's any like old there's a lot of games I've played a lot that aren't, I wouldn't say winnable. Like, I don't know, like clearing max level in Tetris. Does that count? Like, I don't know. If that counts, then I guess Tetris is up there.
Mm-hmm.
Probably Metroid. Probably Metroid or Legend of Zelda would be number one.
Well, our next question is favorite gaming magazine from the 70s through the 90s. That'll be a fun one. So yeah, again, email us, email@retrogameclub.net. Zach runs all our socials, so there's a link tree in the show notes. Thank you, Zach, for taking care of all that, especially now that he's busy with his own podcast. He still has us asking him to do stuff.
Yes.
We're very needy.
Yeah. Very, very high maintenance.
And yeah, I think that's about it.
Yeah, so thanks for listening.
Yeah, thank you.